The candle on the table had just burned out when she said it. Her eyes never even lifted from her glass. She was swirling the wine like she was hosting a tasting event, smirking, one leg crossed over the other, as if she were rehearsing this moment in her head all week, and I was just there to hear the final line. You either accept my friendship with Emery's or leave. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't look angry. She looked amused. That was the part that broke something in me. I didn't ask about Emery's. I hadn't said his name in weeks. I'd stopped bringing it up because every time I did, she made me feel like a lunatic, like I was paranoid, like I was suffocating her. So I tried to be chill. I tried to be modern, emotionally mature, like her friends say on their podcasts. But it always felt like swallowing glass. Now she was sitting there, offering me an ultimatum, and pretending it was liberation. I could barely get the words out. I was blinking too fast, trying not to let the heat rise in my face. My fingers were trembling under the table, gripping my knee like I could crush the panic into stillness. But all I said was, easy choice. She rolled her eyes. Not, please don't go. Not, let's talk about this. Just a roll of the eyes. That night, she climbed into bed like nothing happened. Fell asleep fast. She always slept easy, even after saying things that left me bleeding inside. Meanwhile, I just lay there, staring at the ceiling fan like it was going to offer answers. I got up around 3 a.m. I wasn't planning anything. I didn't decide to disappear. But when I opened the closet and saw the duffel bag, the one she always complained was ugly, I thought, maybe she won't have to see it again. By 4:10 a.m., I was gone. I left no note, no message, no hint. And I turned my phone off because I knew exactly how she'd react. Not with guilt, not with panic, but with confusion. She'd be offended that I followed through, that I didn't play the game the way she expected. By sunrise, she had already texted 12 times. By noon, she was calling from her friends' numbers. By the evening, she sent a message that made me stop walking mid-step in the airport. Who are you? That's what she wrote. Not where are you? Not come back. But who are you? As if I was the stranger. As if she hadn't just dared me to walk, and laughed when I did. The irony was that she used to say I was predictable, that she always knew what I was thinking, that if she pushed hard enough, I'd fold. She used to laugh at how non-confrontational I was. I think she even mistook my patience for fear. And maybe she was right, back then. Maybe I really was just scared of losing her, of fighting, of being alone. But that night, after her ultimatum, something shifted. It wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge. It was more like clarity, like realizing a fire's gone out, and you're the only one still standing in the smoke. I didn't go far at first, just 3 cities over. I checked into a cheap business hotel near a train station and paid in cash. I turned my phone back on around 10 a.m., expecting a few messages. What I got was a flood. 36 unread texts, 11 missed calls, and all from her. Not a single one from her friends or family or anyone she'd bragged about being so supported by. Just her. And the tone was changing fast. The first few were sharp. Really? You're seriously doing this? And grow up, Dorian. Stop being dramatic. But then it started to unravel. Can we talk? Turned into just tell me you're okay. Then spiraled into, who are you? It was like watching someone lose control of a story they thought they were writing. That message, who are you, wasn't rhetorical. She meant it. I had never once walked away before. I had never ignored her for more than a few hours. The silence was freaking her out, and for the first time, I wasn't the one panicking. I didn't reply. Not that day. Instead, I started documenting everything. I wrote down the dates she came home late, the conversations I remembered where she brushed off my concerns, the screenshots I'd taken of texts she didn't know I'd seen, including one where Emery's wrote, "Wish you'd picked me instead." She never replied to that one, but she didn't delete it either. That told me enough. I also went back and opened the old backup drive, the one with our anniversary videos, her voice notes, all the cutesy things we used to send each other. And I couldn't feel anything. Not anger, not pain, just blank. It was like watching someone else's marriage. Some other poor guy who still thought forever meant something. The next morning, she sent a voice message. I didn't want to listen. But curiosity is a disease, and I'm a lifelong carrier. Her voice cracked halfway through. I don't know what you're doing or why you think this is okay, but I need you to answer. We have history, Dorian. You don't just erase that. Please don't do this. That was rich, coming from someone who had no problem inviting her ex into our life like it was some test of my emotional maturity. She once told me, over brunch with her smug artsy friends, that love should be spacious, not jealous. That people who demand exclusivity are just afraid. She said it like a TED Talk, sipping her mimosa. I remember just nodding, pretending I agreed, because I didn't want to seem insecure in front of her tribe of enlightenment junkies. But inside, it felt like being slowly pushed out of my own home. I closed the voice message without replying. I wasn't done being silent yet. She didn't know I had taken the journal. Not the fake one she kept on her nightstand. The leather-bound one she left open just enough to feel artsy. I mean the real one. The one she hid inside an old winter boot in the back of her closet. I'd found it by accident months ago while looking for my charger, and I hadn't touched it then. But that night, the night I left, I slipped it into my backpack without even opening it. I didn't even look at it until I was in the hotel 2 days later. And I swear to you, nothing could have prepared me for what was in there. It wasn't just about me and her. That would have been painful, sure, but at least familiar. What I read was something else. Raw thoughts, fantasies, memories, regrets. Not one, not two, but dozens of pages comparing our marriage to the fire she still felt when she thought about her ex. She described him as unfinished business. She actually wrote that. Unfinished business. And then, in a paragraph so detailed it made my skin crawl, she described a dream where she and Emery's were on a balcony, and I was watching them from the street below like a stranger. That's when I realized. She never expected me to leave because she had already emotionally replaced me. I was the placeholder. The husband role filled for stability, while her heart, or whatever was left of it, belonged somewhere else entirely. I don't know how long I sat there reading it. But when I closed the journal, I wasn't sad. I was disgusted. Not even at her, honestly. At myself. For fighting so long for someone who'd already started rehearsing life without me. That night, she sent another text. Do you hate me? I didn't answer. Because I didn't know. Hate requires energy. And at that moment, I was too numb to feel anything at all. She must have guessed I wasn't staying in a hotel forever. I had used my card once, just once, to grab a new phone charger at a gas station in the next county. And within hours, she had messaged me. So you're hiding in Seabrook? No apology. No shame. Just that smug little checkmate tone she always used when she thought she was ahead of me again. She didn't know that I wasn't in Seabrook anymore. I'd already taken the train out of town and was sleeping on a pull-out couch at my brother Len's house. Len, who never liked Mira to begin with. He used to joke she had eyes that calculated everything. I always defended her. I told him she was just misunderstood, strong-willed. Now, he didn't say I told you so. He just handed me a coffee and said, stay as long as you need. It took her 3 more days to show up. She came banging on Len's door like she owned the street. Hair in a messy knot, sunglasses she didn't need, standing there like she was still in control of something. I peeked through the upstairs window, frozen. My stomach dropped. Len answered the door before I could stop him. Where is he? She demanded. Len didn't flinch. He's not here. I know he's here, she hissed. He used his card. I tracked it. I heard every word from the stairwell. I should have stayed hidden. I should have let her scream into the void. But something about her tone, the entitlement, the desperation underneath it, pushed me over the edge. I walked down the stairs slowly, and the second she saw me, her posture changed. Dorian, she breathed, like she'd been underwater for days. You can't just disappear. I didn't say anything, just leaned against the frame, arms crossed, waiting for her to say something real. She stepped forward, carefully, like I might run. Okay, I messed up. I get that. But you're blowing this out of proportion. That was it. That sentence, like my entire identity, my trust, my place in our marriage, was some drama I'd invented for fun. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was the only thing I could do to stop myself from screaming in her face. I read the journal, I said flatly. She blinked, froze. Then, of course, tried to act like she didn't know what I meant. What journal? The one you hid in your boot, Mira. Color drained from her face. For once, she was speechless. You said I was just a role. Stability. Meanwhile, you're dreaming about balconies and exes like we're not even real. She opened her mouth, but no words came. And then, like clockwork, she cried. Right there on the porch. In front of Len. In front of the neighbor walking their dog. Big, loud sobs, mascara down the cheeks, choking on every breath. And I wish I could tell you I felt something. Pity, sadness, relief. But all I felt was exhaustion. Years of being dismissed, gaslit, told I was imagining things. It all just hardened inside me. She looked up, tears smeared across her face, and whispered, "Please come home." But I wasn't sure I had won anymore. I didn't answer her that day. I couldn't. After she cried on Len's porch and begged me to come home, I just stepped back inside and closed the door. I heard her still talking through it, still spinning everything like I was the one being dramatic. She actually said the words, "This is such an overreaction." That sentence replayed in my head for hours. Overreaction. Not betrayal. Not emotional abandonment. Just me making things bigger than they were. And it clicked. This was never going to be real to her. Not until it cost her something. That night, I finally told Len everything. I read him pieces from her journal. Showed him the messages I'd screenshotted. He didn't say much. Just stared at the table for a while. Then finally muttered, "Damn. You married a performance artist." The next morning, she sent flowers to Len's house. Can you believe that? A bouquet, with a card that said, "To new beginnings, come home and let's talk." Like this was a Hallmark episode, not our actual lives falling apart. But the worst part? She had already updated her Instagram bio back to her maiden name. I found out because one of her friends, the only one who ever liked me, sent me a screenshot with just 3 words. She moved fast. So that's when I knew. The begging, the crying, the doorstep theatrics, none of it was about me. It was about control. She didn't want the marriage back. She just wanted me still orbiting her, like a safe little satellite she could ignore until she needed it again. So I did something I'd been scared of for years. I called a divorce lawyer. And for the first time in this whole mess, I felt free. Filing for divorce didn't feel the way I expected it to. I thought I'd cry. I thought I'd panic halfway through the paperwork, or stare at the reason for filing box until my hand went numb. But instead, it felt clean. Like finally scrubbing a window I'd been pretending wasn't smeared with fingerprints and fog for years. I ticked the box that said irreconcilable differences, even though that didn't come close to describing what she did, what she wrote, what she let fester between us while I bent over backwards to believe she loved me. The envelope was thick. It included copies of the messages from Emery's, select pages from her journal, bank statements with unusual charges I had flagged from her solo art retreat, and a printed screenshot of her Instagram bio change. I wasn't just filing for divorce. I was documenting every cut she left hidden under layers of performance. The courier dropped the packet at her apartment. Yeah, apartment. She'd moved out of our house without telling me, apparently needing space to heal. The irony, of course, is that she only moved after I stopped chasing her. I watched the delivery update on my phone, waited 2 hours, and then saw her name flash on my screen. First message, "What the hell is this?" Second message, "You're being vindictive." Third, "You want to ruin me?" I stared at those words for a long time. Vindictive? Ruin her? All I had done was hand her the mirror she refused to look into. That's when it hit me. Mira had never believed she could actually lose. Not really. To her, I'd always been the emotional one. The one who forgave too fast. The one who took her silence as something sacred instead of what it really was. Emotional blackmail disguised as deep thinking. But here's the twist. Once she realized I'd actually filed, the tone shifted again. The call started. 6 missed in one day. Then voice messages. "I'm sorry," one began. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." In another, "You misunderstood that journal, Dorian. It wasn't real. It was just writing. Processing." No mention of Emery's. No accountability. Just layers of self-preservation dressed up as apology. But then she left one message that stuck with me. Quiet. No tears this time. Just her voice, low and tired. "You don't get to erase me." And maybe that's true. But I get to let go. I should have expected it, her final move. When someone like Mira realizes she's truly lost control, they don't disappear. They reconstruct. And that's exactly what she tried to do. A week after the papers were served, mutual friends started messaging me out of nowhere. "Hey, I heard what Myra's going through. That's rough. Didn't know you'd just walk out like that." One even said, "Man, I didn't think you had it in you to ghost your own wife." That's when it became clear she was rewriting the ending. Telling people I left without explanation, that I was emotionally unstable, that I freaked out over nothing. She turned herself into the tragic lead, misunderstood and abandoned. Not once did she mention Emery's. Not once did she bring up the journal, or the gaslighting, or the quiet years of corrosion she orchestrated with a smile on her face, and her phone turned face down. I didn't respond publicly. I didn't argue. That's what she wanted, a spectacle, a scandal, something to feed the narrative that I was the one unraveling. But privately, I made one decision that changed everything. I sent a message, not to her, but to Emery's. It was a single sentence. You can have her. I didn't expect a reply. I didn't care if he responded. I just wanted the silence between us to say what she never would. That I wasn't fighting for her anymore. That her drama wasn't my prison. That she could spin stories and throw herself into anyone's arms. But I was no longer standing in the wings waiting to be forgiven for sins I never committed. 2 days later, she showed up at my old house. Not Len's, the house we shared. She had a key, of course, and for some reason she thought I'd be there. But I'd already transferred the deed into my name and listed it for sale. When the realtor called me and said, she walked in crying, I didn't even flinch. She left one last voicemail that night. I keep looking for the version of you I used to know. The one who'd never hurt me like this. That version of me died quietly. The night she told me to accept her ex or leave. And I chose. It's strange how quickly silence can become peace. After all the chaos, all the late-night voicemails, all the texts she kept sending just to say something, there was finally quiet. Not because she stopped, but because I stopped needing to hear it. I muted her number, blocked her email, not to punish her, just to give myself a clean horizon. For the first time in years, I wasn't reacting to her anymore. I was just breathing. The house sold fast. Too fast. A younger couple bought it, freshly engaged, full of excitement and Pinterest boards. I handed over the keys and smiled like it didn't used to be the stage for my private heartbreak. But walking out of that house didn't feel like losing. It felt like shedding skin I'd outgrown. I moved into a small loft near the harbor. Nothing fancy, but it had big windows, and for some reason, the light hit differently in the mornings. I started reading again. Joined a gym, even though I still hate treadmills. Took long walks without needing a reason. It felt pathetic at first, starting from zero at my age. But then one morning, sipping terrible coffee on my tiny balcony, I caught myself smiling. For no reason. Not because I had proven anything or won some invisible battle. Just because I was no longer waking up in someone else's shadow. And yeah, I still think about her sometimes. Not in a bitter way. Just, in passing. Like an echo from a room I no longer live in. I don't hate her. I don't even wish her pain. But I also don't carry her anymore. Not in my chest. Not in my future. Last week, I ran into a woman at a bookstore. Her name was Jules. She laughed at the same line in the same book I did. We ended up talking for an hour in the aisle. Nothing came of it, yet. But when I walked out of that store, I felt something I hadn't in years. Hope. Not for some grand romance. Not for validation. Just for whatever comes next. And for the first time, that's enough.